Alrighty, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Episode three. Three. So exciting. Woohoo. Meeting again with my friend and colleague, Marianne King of Tru-Knowing Holistics. I'm Kelly Gray of The Empowered Daughter, and welcome to our podcast, The Wisdom Whisperers, tackling the ordinary in non-ordinary ways.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Woo, woo, woo. I thought today, because I've noted we haven't done it before, it would be nice to introduce ourselves to the people who end up joining us. Marianne, did you want to kick it off and introduce yourself to the fine
Yeah,
folks
I
who are
certainly can.
checking
So
us
I'm
out?
Marianne, and I'm the face of Tru-Knowing Holistics. And what my sole purpose as a teacher and a healer is to help people remember that they're multidimensional, to help them explore their multidimensional senses, and then that leads them back to their true knowing, the core of wisdom and beauty that we all have and that we forget in the ordinariness of life. So I help you remember the non-ordinary reality, and I help you remember the beauty that's at your core. That's what I do.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, I can say I have worked with Marianne a couple of times, and it's been beautiful and potent and actually an incredible experience. So if her services interest you at all, I highly recommend because you're in for a
Thanks,
real
love.
treat. Yeah, it's true.
Mhm.
It's totally true. I love yeah, amplifying my friends that I know are doing amazing work in the world. And it's my honor to do that for you. So my name is Kelly Gray of The Empowered Daughter. So my kind of mission in life, it's a calling. It's a
Yeah,
calling. I feel
yeah,
it's my sacred calling, my purpose and my mission in life is to
yes,
help women to heal from ancestral trauma, mainly the mother wound, and to understand the research based science part of it, our psychology, our physiology, what's going on with the nervous system, because we are human, so we have to understand the human aspect of who we
we
are,
do. Yeah,
sophisticated animals ultimately, but we are also beings.
yes,
And we can use ritual, ceremony, energy practices, mystical practices, so that we can also step into and strengthen our beingness so we can be the
yeah,
human being. We've got
yes,
one foot in the human world, we've got one foot in the spirit world, and they work
absolutely.
together. They work
Yeah.
together, and it's potent and it's powerful. And that's my joy, is my passion, because it's also been my road, my experience. I've
Mhm.
I've done that whole journey. So that's what I
I
do.
think that's what makes the most potent healers really is the opposite of what conventional thinking is, that to be a healer one must be perfect and healthy and all things going in the right direction. It's been my experience over the decades that I've been doing this, that it's actually the people who have addressed their own shadows, their own wounds, their own difficulties, that become the most potent way showers, because they've connected with their true knowing and with their empowerment and with their wisdoms, and they then serve as a light for others to follow as they will. Potency.
Yeah, it is potent. I mean, when we've had to sit in our own shame and walk through
Mhm,
our own shadow and
mhm.
deal with all the crunchiness that comes up, we have an incredible capacity to not be afraid of someone else's shadow and their
Exactly.
crunchiness. You
Yeah,
know, we can approach the compassion
yeah,
and
yeah.
love, and it's
Because we don't
beautiful.
have to
It's
fix. We don't have to fix it. We don't have to take responsibility for it. We can sit in that sacred silence with someone and know their
mm,
truth while they're rediscovering it. It's a potency that we all carry. We do it instinctively as mothers to children, or as helpers to one another. And so
yeah.
our coming together is just really helping to reinforce. We were talking before we started actually recording about developing something called pearls of wisdom. But I feel like
Mm.
before we do that, we probably would be energetically more congruent to do an invocation. So let's do that now then
Perfect. Let's
before
do
we
it.
get
Let's do it. Lead
into the
us through.
conversation. All righty, so we're going to take this moment to welcome in all those who have waited upon this call, our guides, our guardians, our higher self, our true knowing, our inner wisdoms, our empowerment, the spaces and places within and around us that vibrate to the highest light. We call in the powers and the influences of the sacred directions. We call in the powers and the influences of all those from across all times and dimensions who are here loving us, encouraging us, and helping us to grow into our glow. We surrender all forms of fear, disempowerment, rigid thinking into the power of this sacred circle, knowing that as we do so, those energies and entities are infused with love and light, leading us to further illumination and further glow and grow. We give thanks for this to be true. We know it to be true, and we stand in that truth as we say, and so it is. So it
Oh,
is.
and so it is. Thank
Mm,
you. Lovely. Oh, it's really
thank you.
powerful. I
Mm,
can feel all my spirit helpers with me right now. I'm in a crowded space currently
yeah.
with a lot of love and support, and it feels really nice.
Standing room only.
Standing room only. And before we hop into anything, one last thing I want to say: if you
Yes,
find value in this, if you're
yes.
curious about our work, and this is touching you and resonating with you in any way, we would be really grateful if you would kind of like, share, comment, because it helps the algorithms. Literally, it helps all the social media algorithms so that our profile kind of pops up a little bit, for people who are like-minded so they can find us. And we're doing this in service, and because it's a joyful expression of who we are, actually.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
kind of unstoppable. We love to come together in these spaces. So it's a beautiful kind of reciprocity if you're receiving
Yeah,
energy from us that's really touching you, to just hit that like, share, comment, whatever works for you, because that is a great energy
it
exchange.
is. And it grows the community because at the end of it all, that's what
Yeah,
we're about, is
we're
developing a
about
community
community.
that continues to grow in support of one another and to be that safe place to explore your curiosity and your knowing and all of the things that you want to do to be able to navigate ordinary reality in non-ordinary ways.
Right.
It's a beautiful
Beautiful.
synchronicity.
It
So
is a
speaking
beautiful
of
synchronicity.
synchronicity, we were talking about, we've discovered that as this, because we don't script this, we literally touch bases before we start recording. We sort of sound each other out in terms of what's come up, and then we discuss it. And what we're finding is that with each session, there is an energetic practice or tool that's being brought forth. Today, we spoke about what's sort of the energetic container that we can use to store all of these tools. And we came up with
Mhm.
pearls of wisdom. So I'd
Mhm.
like you to imagine, just for a brief moment, in whatever way has meaning for you, that beautiful clamshell that comes together. And when you
Mhm.
open it, there's a beautiful pearl inside the clamshell. And I would invite you to consider that perhaps you can create that energetic pocket in your energy field. And each time we discuss an energetic tool or practice, put it inside your pearls of wisdom. All of us, whether we've been at this for 2 days or
Yeah.
20 years, we all need our toolkit, our treasure chest, or in this case, the pearls of wisdom on any given day when you're having the challenges that come with being human. It's helpful to be able to say, wait, now, I have an energetic space that is available to me. I'm going to open my pearls of wisdom. And which one of those tools, tricks, or trades in there can I use to help me move into an awareness that's different from where I currently am? Which leads us to what we're talking about today: reframe. Reframe.
Reframing. Reframing.
Reframe. So part of the human condition is that we tend to think about things the same way. We tend to look at things the same way. And as a result, we get the same. When we are courageous enough to explore the
Mm.
allness that we are, so moving beyond
Yeah.
ordinary definitions of who we be, it's a space and a place of stepping outside of those definitions. That can be a little scary to the egoic mind because our ego has been developed and educated to define and contain. That's how they feel safe. So,
Yeah.
this practice that we're going to talk about, the whole reframe exercise, is a way that allows the egoic self to go, oh, wait a minute, I still have the illusion of control. And at the same time, your wider or multidimensional self is going, have I got some news for you?
I think
Right?
that's beautiful. That's amazing
Oh,
because, it, it's it, we're in it. we're learning about working with ourselves,
Yes.
working with our ego,
Yeah.
not being at war with ourselves, not creating
No.
internal tension. So
No.
there's a lot of flow with
Yes. And that's
this.
what we do as wombed ones. We flow. We find the ways to flow into solution. Our bodies flow while
Yeah.
we are still actively menstruating. Our thoughts and emotions flow with the moon, irrespective of whether we are still in menstruation or not. So we are creatures
Yeah.
of flow.
Yeah.
Intuitively, we want to flow. In any situation where you cannot think of a solution, where you feel like it's the same old, this is what's happened with your flow. It's not,
Yeah.
there's no movement. So this
There's no
practice that we're going
movement.
to talk about, in addition with all the other practices we talk about, that's part of the ritual that we've spoken about, the ceremonies. What works for you on one day may not work for you another day. And certainly having done this for a very long time, I'm always surprised by practices that resurface that I did eons ago, and they served their purpose, and then they felt like they weren't really doing anything. And then they
Yep.
resurface. You see, I don't
Yes.
think that energetic practices ever outgrow themselves. They might just have a particular vibration that is more helpful at a particular time than another. Has that been your experience?
Oh, that's 100% my experience. Well, because the feminine is intuitive. This
Mm-hmm.
is about intuition. The
Mm-hmm.
masculine is about structure and
Mm-hmm.
order and
Mm-hmm.
logic and those kinds of
Mm-hmm.
things. The feminine is about improvisational jazz. It's more
Yes.
intuitive,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so when we're in that flow, we are going to intuitively go into our clamshell, our pearls of
Mm-hmm.
wisdom, and take the
Mm-hmm.
pearl that, as you say, is the vibrational match to the circumstance and situation that I find
Yes.
myself in. So
Yes.
it's not about um, rote structure and having a
Mm-hmm.
ritual that it has to be
Mm-hmm.
done this
Mm-hmm.
particular kind of
Mm-hmm.
way. We want to flow with these kinds of practices. And that's 100% been my experience, is just at different points in my life, at different spaces and places I find myself in phases of my life,
Mm-hmm.
different things call to me more than others.
Yes.
And they do
Yes.
cycle through
Mm-hmm.
because women are beings of cycles. We go through the
Yes.
whole year cycle in 1 month,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
when we're
Yeah.
menstruating.
Yeah. And even as a crone, I am in awareness that there is still ebb and flow. It's not quite the same experience, but there's still very much an ebb and flow, which for me mirrors more the phases or faces of the moon. So that sense of
Yeah.
flow and ebb and flow never stops, as far as I can see. Mm.
Which is beautiful, by the way, because
Yes.
once you kind of figure it out and learn how to work with it, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. You've made yourself potent again. You've made yourself, and you've stepped outside of the conclusions that say it must be or look a certain way. So let's talk about that reframe.
Reframe, the
So
reframe.
reframe, and literally I was shown the guides laughing a little bit, because you can be, I talk out loud a lot when I'm on my own, when I'm with my family. It's an accepted part of who I am. I remember my mom telling me when I was small that a sign of intelligence was when you had a conversation with yourself and you responded like that. So as I am in a space and place of talking a situation aloud, and I realize I've come into a place of, oh, this does not feel good. This doesn't look good. I'm in a place where there's only one possible outcome. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So I was shown that with a sense of humor from the guides, that when I'm on my own and such a thing is happening, I can actually yell out, reframe,
Yeah.
spontaneous, energetic invitation. Sometimes you got to be a little firm with yourself. If you've gone down that rabbit hole of, this is the way it's always been, this is the way it's always going to be, there's nothing I can do about it. If that belief system is one that you wish to sit in for a while, go for it. Is it going to be
Yeah.
productive? No. Is it going to allow anything to shift or change? No, it won't. And as multidimensional beings, there is always more than one opportunity, one point of view, or one perspective. You, even if you just for a moment try to imagine how many parallel realities there must be for us, and how many different options and choices are happening at any given moment. I use that not for you to go, oh, we're getting into the heebie-jeebie here, but
Yep.
simply to point out to you that your human brain goes one outcome, one possibility, where your
Yep.
multidimensional self is like, listen, sister, I got some news for you. at least 20 different potentials, all of whom could go in any which direction. And this
Yeah.
isn't about something being good or bad either, is it? It's about what's the
No.
most ideal outcome for this moment in time. When we shift the focus from good and bad into what's the most ideal, we open a whole new vista of possibilities, right?
Oh, and then we're in the flow of
Yeah.
tapping into potential.
Yes.
As you said, the the multiverse of parallel realities. I mean, I know this might be a new concept for some people who are kind of new to the non-ordinary reality and all of these things, but that is, just a fact.
Another little wrinkle. Yeah, another little wrinkle in the fabric of time.
And being able to shift into a different potential for ourselves, a different possibility. But if we won't reframe,
Yep.
we're not going to make the leap, because what happens, from my perspective anyway, in my lived experience, was, kind of before I healed, I was very, I didn't reframe. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. I was very kind of stuck in a particular paradigm. And so last week and last year, and I could predict my future just based
Yep.
on the way I was living. So I wasn't shifting timelines, but when we're stepping into a reframe, without getting too big with it, but incrementally just shifting
Yes.
our potential, our
Mm-hmm.
timeline, our
Mm-hmm.
future
Mm-hmm.
shifts, and we're
And
entering into a whole other stream.
yes, and the thing to remember too, particularly to reassure those parts of us that want things to be smaller or more contained,
Yeah.
the universe never punts us into a place where we are like in the deep end, not able to swim. Everything that we realize has changed. But there are lifetimes where that might happen, but that's not what we're talking about here.
No,
We're
no,
talking
it's not.
about taking moments to reframe attention and intention, because where attention and intention flow,
Yeah.
energy goes. So
Yeah.
we're talking about making those subtle adjustments that allow the non-ordinary to come support us in the ordinary. And who doesn't want more support? Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It feels good.
yeah. So let's
It
talk about
does.
how to make that happen then. We're going to do a brief shamanic journey. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to the energetic space where your frame, your reframe exists. So a little bit of background info. What I've been shown is that the frame exists of wood. It's a gift to us from the tree people or the woods peoples. It is a shamanic tradition across cultures that trees are living sentient beings, that they have a weaving of roots that cover the
Mhm.
entire earth, and that when you communicate with one tree, you are communicating literally with the greatness of the allness of the tree. Any one of you
Mm.
who have done any sort of exploration in energetics will always find the symbol of a tree representing a multitude of different things. So the tree peoples then have gifted us with a frame. The frame as it appears to each one of us will be unique because we are unique. But what I was shown is that the frame itself is like the rectangle sort of frame, although feel free to let it be any shape it wants to when you get to journey. But the frame itself has a multiplicity of carvings and symbols and flow within the wood. And I want you to be aware that when you see this frame, there's going to be at some point on that frame a very tiny opening. So the frame is not closed in. The frame is there, but there's a tiny opening. And you know, they say, how does that saying go? You can have legions of angels dance on the head of a pin. So I'm shown that
Yes.
tiny little opening in the frame is what literally allows the reframe. So what you're going to be doing when you work with the frame is as needed and wherever needed. And that's the beauty of the energetic techniques. It doesn't matter if
Mhm.
you're in the middle of the library, if you're on you're taking the subway, it doesn't matter. You can do this in an instant and it literally reframes your energetic perspective. When you reframe your perspective, guess what you've done? You've allowed a whole lot of potential and solutions and ideas to come forth. So when you do the
Beautiful.
reframing exercise, literally mind's eye in a way that has meaning for you, you will see your frame. Into that frame, you will dump whatever's going on, the situation, the scenario, all the reasons why it is what it is, and you simply dump it in the frame. As you do so, universal flow enters into your current perspective and goes, You know what? This entire frame has been developed as an invitation to shift perspective. And so because the intention of the frame is to shift perspective, you've given what you currently believe to be true to the frame. The energetics of the frame goes, let me show you a thing or three. Okay. So
That's
you jump into
beautiful.
the frame, you're in awareness. The frame may glow for you, it may grow for you. I don't know what that's going to look like. We're going to find out when we do Journey. Let it do whatever it needs to do to symbolize to you that there has been a transformation. And then you go about your business. It might be that on a particular
Yeah.
day, I'm shown that there might be words glowing inside the frame, and maybe the word is an answer or the word is an energy that you need to be aware of. But maybe there's nothing inside the frame. And you go about your day, and an hour later, it's like, oh my word, I have like 4 different ideas. I got to write them down. I'm a big fan of always having a pad, a paper, and a pen within reach,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know about you, when I get insights and ideas, I have to capture them, because if I don't, within maybe 20 minutes, they're gone. I mean, I know they'll come back again if the timing is required, etc. But I've learned to work with the flow by having a place to capture and bring it into ordinary reality. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Any thoughts
100%.
on
I
that,
mean, we
Laurie,
don't
before we
just
journey?
get we just don't get insights on a schedule.
Mm-mm.
We don't, spirit doesn't work
Let's
that way.
go.
We can't book an appointment and say, "Okay, and now I'm ready."
Yes.
It
At
doesn't work that
10:05,
way.
I will be prepared for some insights. And I suspect that's why, as I was shown this practice, that the whole you may or may not get an answer right away.
Yeah.
Ego says, I will give you a problem and you will give me an answer immediately. Ego is
Yeah.
aware of like the tip of the iceberg of all of the energetics that are involved. And so it's like the red, the red flag in the bull, the same issue. I'm going to pretend I'm giving it to the reframe, but my egoic self is still going to expect an answer like that. So I'm quite clear that our multidimensional self sometimes goes, hush, child, just give me a minute or 3 while I put things together, and then I will bring it to your attention. I will not bring it to your attention until it's complete and ready to go.
That's the way it works.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not
So
on demand. That's the
patience,
way it works.
my friend. Yeah, patience. And you know what patience has to do? Patience is another word for trust. Another word for
Yeah.
trust and surrender, because we consistently learn that there's no such thing as an unanswered question or an unanswered situation. So when you give this to this gift that has been gifted us by the tree peoples, there is active energetic interventions going on, and we are in a place of surrender to the higher versions of ourselves that already know what to do. Yeah,
Oh,
I like
that's
that.
beautiful. I like that too.
All right, then, shall we do a quick little journey?
Yeah, let's do
So
it.
we're
Let's
going to
do it.
start. I do prefer that people make sure that their feet are on the ground. It just helps to ground them a wee bit more.
Yep.
So feet are on ground. Nothing is crossed on the body. I prefer that your hands be laying comfortably in your lap, palm up if that's comfortable for you. And we're going to take a minute now just to be in awareness of our breath. So we're going to breathe in. And as we do so, we're just going to bring our attention to this here and now. And we'll begin to see forming in front of us a sacred mist. This sacred mist is created by our higher self and all the guides and guardians that work with us. Let yourself see, sense, or imagine this mist in a way that has meaning for you. This mist is sparkling and bright and very inviting. And as it begins to approach and surround you, you feel supported, you feel encouraged. Anything that has been weighing you down, a problem or an issue, you can surrender to the mist and the knowledge within the mist. And perhaps you even take a breath or two that brings that beautiful mist deep inside you. Again, imagine that that mist is actually dancing with every cell of your body, providing regeneration, renewal, releasing that which needs to be released with ease and grace. And just allow yourself to take a breath or two, surrounded and immersed in this loving mist, and feel, sense, or imagine its beautiful workings upon you. And I'll encourage you now to allow your senses, your imagination, to see developing in front of you a most beautiful frame. This frame is made of wood, but the wood is like something you've never seen before. Somehow it is simultaneously formed into whatever shape is right for you. It may be a circle, it may be an oval, maybe a rectangle, triangle. Let it be what shape it will be. And yet somehow, even in the formed framework, there is still movement or flow of energy as you are gazing upon this frame. As your attention toward this frame deepens, become aware that perhaps in the top left corner, there is a small area of the frame that remains open. This is important because this opening is where universal realms of wisdom can enter and work with the tree peoples and you to create that shift in perspective, that reframe, the ability to be with a situation in a new and inspiring way. Allow your attention to be in the space that is contained within the frame. Is it a nebulous, sort of cloudy place? Is it a framework that you can recognize? Is it just a space that feels filled with potency? Know that as you connect with this frame that has been gifted you by the tree peoples, it is available to you now in the wisp of a heartbeat. In the mere thought of bringing the reframe or the frame forth, it will be present with you in your ordinary reality. Let's take a moment now to just drop a thought into your frame. Let it be anything. It can be something that is of a minor inconvenience to you. It can be a pattern that you wish to investigate, and simply drop it into the frame in a way that has meaning for you. You might do so by seeing words drop into the frame. You might feel a sense of energetic flow moving into the frame. Let it be as it needs to. Simply have the intention to surrender your current point of view into this beautiful frame. And as you do, perhaps you see some swirling energy, or perhaps you see some misting, or whatever it needs to look or feel like for you. Let it be, and be in curiosity as you watch. And it may be that whatever situation you put in there, perhaps a symbol now appears to you, or perhaps there are symbols along the frame that start to glow, or perhaps you have a sense of movement within the frame itself. Be curious as to how the frame and the energies within will communicate with you. And perhaps it might be that a thought, a word, a symbol, or even a feeling comes from the frame upon you. And if so, let that be with ease and with joy. And we will thank the tree peoples for gifting us with this one-of-a-kind, beautiful, energetic tool. And we will feel and sense the joyousness of the tree peoples as we receive their gift, because it has been waiting for us. And in that knowledge and in that joy, let us find an energetic space within the multidimensionality that we be, where this frame will reside, and on our call or intention, immediately be in front of us at any point in time, always. Let us let this be so. Let us now draw our attention back to the sacred mist that surrounds and envelops us. And let us bring our attention back into this here and this now, letting the sacred mist dissipate as it will, and have that felt sense of where our frame or our reframe is now within our energetic awareness. And with a deep breath, let's wiggle some toes, wiggle some shoulders, slowly open eyes, and come back to this here and now.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, that was wonderful. That was beautiful. I gave the frame, something I've been kind of dealing with, an opportunity for a reframe. And just in this particular situation, I got an
Yeah.
immediate kind of response to it. That was a really
Mhm.
beautiful exercise. Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you. And you're most welcome. It's one of my joys to be
Yeah.
able to sit in intention and receptivity and be gifted these images and these journeys. When I was first doing this, it was a process, as all things are, because you have to learn to expand your senses. And so there were
Yeah.
processes involved. And sometimes those processes could be quite time intensive or laborious. And one of my uh, simultaneously joys and challenges is realizing that I no longer require that process. There are times where I will feel inclined to do it as I was taught initially, but most of the time, if I am in a place of silence or in contemplation, and I'm gifted these. And the thing is that gifting and that capacity is within all of us. So neither you or I are
Mm.
doing anything that's not possible to others. We are the ordinary being done in non-ordinary ways. That's why we're able to share what we do and who we be.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, we've just kind of remembered who we are.
Yes.
Stepped into a knowing, as
Mhm.
as your practice is called Tru-Knowing. It's about
Knowing. Yeah.
knowing. So I have a question for you.
Sure.
What would you say to people who say, is this my imagination? Is this spirit? How can I tell the difference? Do you have, because some people are going to be very new to this.
Yep.
They're going to be exploring and experimenting. And then a question I frequently get asked by the people that I work with is, how do I
Mhm.
even know that this is a real thing? Or how can I trust this? So what,
Yeah.
what would you
Yeah.
say to that?
Well, and that's all part of exploring our multidimensionality, because when we use our ordinary senses, not a one among us doesn't realize that there is more than the ordinary senses. We have all had moments of intuition, moments of insight, moments of, oh, where our whole perspective on something has shifted. And when we watch small children, when they enter into the world and as they grow and as they develop, their imagination is one of their strongest
Mm.
senses. What do we do with that
Mhm.
sense, that ordinary sense? We drum it out of them. We tell them that
Yeah.
no, 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 elephants can't be purple. They have to be gray. Here's an example. And that's not a cruelty. It's how we have learned to live in ordinary reality, to dull our senses, our extraordinary senses, so that we can fit into ordinary reality. Imagination is a sense that's as real as your sight, your smell, your taste. It is a sense that needs to be developed in the parts of the brain that already know how to do that. So it's as real as any other sense. We've been taught, particularly in a patriarchal society where control is everything, that there is only a certain way of doing things, that there's only certain senses that are allowable. And yet we have
Yep.
this entire treasure trove. So imagination is real, intuition is real. And what we do as practitioners is we encourage you to explore that with the same kind of curiosity that littles do. You don't condemn a child for imagination. Why then would we condemn an adult who's exploring theirs? So is it real? It's real.
It's
It's
real.
real.
Lovely. Thank you for putting it that way. I curiosity and playfulness.
Yes.
It's a gateway to
Mm-hmm.
greater expansion. Children are curious, children are playful. And when we're able to reclaim those qualities, things really open up. And
Yes.
yeah, I explain it a little bit differently, but similarly with the people that I'm working with. But it's something to just explore and
Mm-hmm.
experience firsthand. And just the proof is in the pudding. See how
That's
it goes
exactly
for
it.
you.
Yeah. If something feels light and right, or light, if something feels light, it's right. And so we don't all maneuver through life in exactly the same way. So why would we expect that our extrasensory perceptions, our imagination, our intuition, why would we expect them to be exactly the same amongst us? They're not. As some
They're
people,
not.
so for me, my intuitive flashes are usually a sense of internal knowing or a sight. Other people work primarily with hearing. Other people will have a visceral where their belly is where they receive the insight or the messages. And I believe that's where curiosity is so critical. It's like if I want my life to be the same as it's been up till now, yay for me, then I won't explore anything that's different. I won't do anything that's different. And I won't send a signal to the universe that says I'm
Yeah.
all of these energetic practices we do send subtle signals to the vastness that is the universe to say, here is another one who's waking to their potential. Let's send
Yeah.
them some more of the same.
And that's what happens
Yeah.
when we do this reciprocity, this energy exchange with the universe, and we show that we're ready. It
Yes.
does start giving it back
Yes.
to us. It's just this loop that forms.
Mhm.
And this is really beautiful in terms of this reframing practice. We only need a very small little opening in that frame. That's
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
the spirit needs, that the universe needs, the Father
The
Cosmos.
vast
That's
wisdom
all
that
that they
is the
need.
great
That's
beyond. Yep.
the great beyond, the
Yeah.
smallest little opening. That's it.
Yeah.
We don't have
And
to say,
working.
I, we don't have to say, I'm just wholeheartedly diving into this. We just need this big of an opening. And then the
Tiny
proof
little
is in the
space.
pudding.
Yeah. And we're also supported by the energies and the wisdoms of the tree people. It's important,
Yeah.
particularly as human beings, that we remind ourselves that we are never in this alone, that we've been gifted an incredible network of support, unqualified support, whose only intention is to help us grow into our glow. So when we work with the tree peoples in that frame and however that frame looks, and we've left that opening for universal wisdoms to come in, it's done in a way that is safe for the wholeness that we are. And it's done in a way that allows the wisdoms and the supports that surround us to speak to us in a way that's not overwhelming. And once we make these little steps, then the next step comes, and the next step comes. And any time that we are encouraged to expand our awareness of the
Mm.
supports that are within and around us, it is a glorious day for the universe.
That feels like ending on a high note to me.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? I love it when it happens like
I
that.
don't know. It's always, you seem to come up with these beautiful ways. It just ties a bow on it for me.
Word
Um,
weaving 101. All right, well, then let's do the
yeah.
closing invocation. We thank everyone that has been called
Hmm.
to watch this and to share this space with us. We are deeply honored by your power and your presence. We ask that all guides and guardians that presented to us for the purpose of this podcast be honored. Those that wish to continue walking with us, we welcome you into our hearts and souls. Those that wish to be released, we release you. We give thanks, heartfelt thanks
Hmm.
for the beauty that this is and our ability to share this. We let it be so as it is so and as it continues to unfold. And so it is.
And so it is. Lovely. Oh, beautiful. What a gorgeous
Beautiful.
co creation, my friend. Gorgeous co
Exactly.
creation.
Yeah.
I just want to mention for the folks that we haven't ironed out the details, but it is our intention, and we'll be communicating that with you soon. It's our intention to also have folks join us. Those
Yes.
who feel inclined to join us to ask questions about
Yep.
energy practices, about
Yep.
healing,
Yep.
so that we can, because it's a joyful expression of who we are, to be in service to other people
Yep.
and to offer our gifts and create community. So
Yes.
we will be doing that. So we're going to communicate. We'll figure out the details, but that's coming. So stay tuned for that if you'd like to join us and ask us questions directly and kind of have a direct experience with us. We would love it. We
Whoop,
would
whoop,
love
whoop.
it. The more the merrier, the more the
Absolutely.
merrier, right?
Yeah.
Amplify
Yeah.
the energy. It's a beautiful
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until then.
Until then, my friend, until next time. All right.
Indeed.
Thanks everyone for joining us.